Question number 6. What changes do you think will happen in this field within the next 5 years? Um, athletic training in general, I believe, has been evolving over the last 10, 15 years. Um, like I mentioned in one of the previous previous question, is that traditionally when I started as an athletic trainer, my understanding of athletic training was where the athletic trainer was specifically in the training room and was at practice covering the practices and the games, so to speak. Um, we didn't really either do anything or any come into effect until an injury occurred. We would run on the field, assess the injury, bring the athlete back into the training room if they were able to participate, assess them, evaluate them, do the rehab, and kind of return to play type of thing. So then slowly we started doing more of the prevention stuff. There's been plenty of studies as far as for ACLs, ankle sprains. So we started doing more of the preventative stuff, more of the assessment portion, such as like when the FMS was kind of created by a Greg Cook and stuff like that. We started involving more in the prevention aspect of it. It was one of those, hey, if athletes get hurt, why don't we try to prevent that aspect of it? Now, I believe one of the big areas it's kind of slowly evolving into is kind of the sports science, which kind of is incorporated with the prevention and load management. The word load management is one of the biggest things that's been out there in the last 2 years. You hear it in the NBA, it's all about load management to try to reduce injuries. But no one really understands, most people don't understand what load management actually is and what it actually means in general. But I think as far as trying to get from more subjective understandings of injury prevention, injury assessment, to more of the objective, both off the field and more importantly on the field assessments as far as when it relates to sports science, tracking the athletes' movements, their biomechanical movements, their muscular structure movements as they're playing, and trying to see if we can address different issues and try to prevent injuries from an objective kind of sports science aspect of it. Okay, question number 7. What opportunities are available in this field, advanced training specialties? I think one of the issues, I think, or not one, but one of the areas I think just in general that I think that athletic training has been evolving is the opportunity to get certain certifications and licenses in addition to um, just your athletic training certification license. I recall a couple years ago, and I think industries are starting to realize that athletic trainers are more than just kind of being in the training room and just being the ones kind of to treat the injuries when an athlete gets hurt. As far as we've got into the whole area of prevention, also rehabilitation type of thing when an athlete does sustain a major injury like an ACL, and also as far as the prevention aspect of it, as far as trying to understand the movements of the body, the compensations of the body. And the reason why I say this, I remember about 10 years ago or so, a simple thing as a course like the Mulligan's course. I remember I had looked into about perhaps taking it, and from what I remember, even the Mulligan courses were restricted only to physical therapists. I think I remember I had called, and then one of the things they had mentioned, hey, unless you're a physical therapist, you're not allowed to take this course. There's no CEUs for it, and that in itself has changed. That now Mulligan courses are as an athletic trainer, you're able to take it, get CEUs and stuff like that. So I think the industry itself is trying to realize, hey, athletic training is not just your traditional aspect of, hey, you're in the training room, I'm here to just tape, stretch, maybe rehab an ankle with a lot of swelling, but now athletic trainers are more involved in the whole field of sports medicine and athletes, from prevention to assessments, to strength and conditioning, to on the field cardiovascular, on the field training, even such as even equipment management, so to speak, because anything that's related to the athlete that pertains to injury prevention, athletic trainers are somehow involved. Question number 8. What would be a reasonable salary range to expect if I entered this field? What is the long-term potential? As far as salary-wise, I believe they range differently depending on the level that you're looking at working, whether it's at a clinical level, whether it's at a high school level, whether it's at collegiate level, and even then within the collegiate level, it can be whether D1 school, D2, D3, junior college, whether you're working at the professional level. They range from my understanding, could be anywhere from $30,000 to anywhere from $250,000 to $350,000 if you're more on the professional level at a D1 collegiate level type of thing. And then what is the long-term potential? Well, it varies from where you're at. Obviously, the higher you get as far as the level, whether it's professional, specifically on the professional level. When I talk to a lot of student athletic trainers, it's kind of weird for me to say this, but um, getting a job at the professional level is the easiest part. Keeping the job and staying at that position is the most difficult part. Um, Working at the professional level is very intense. There are plenty of injuries that occur to athletes, but at the end of the day, as the athletic trainer, your job is to try to prevent them and maintain them. And oftentimes, you tend to be sitting in what we refer to as the hot seat. Your job is to manage individuals, to manage your staff, also to manage the athletes and manage the injuries. Oftentimes, you'd be surprised when I was at the level, how many calls I would get with people talking about, hey, I can do this, we can do this, we can do this better, we can do that better. And it's easy for people to kind of, from the outside, to be able to be making comments about what's happening inside. It's almost like what we refer to as the Monday quarterback in NFL football, where the game was played, the coaches planned the game, they executed the game, they executed the plan. They may not have won, and then you have people making comments kind of like on Monday morning, even the coaches, so to speak, as far as kind of okay, we should have done this, we should have done that. And it's difficult to be able to be in that aspect, but like I said, the higher you are, the potential for you to kind of be there and stay there is a little more difficult, to be honest with you guys, but it is also kind of rewarding at the same time. It's hard because there's not many jobs or opportunities at that level, but when you do have one, it's also fun, it's enjoyable, there's a lot of stresses that come with it, and it's kind of difficult to kind of stay there and maintain. Number 9, what qualifications does someone look for when hiring new people in this field? Do you have any recommendations for me to build these skills now? As far as athletic training wise, at a specific field, either at the professional level, at the higher level, or just athletic training in general, I think one of the areas that people are looking for is more manual therapy and movement assessments or movement specialists. Like I said, it kind of goes back to the whole injury prevention. And I think that's kind of one of the areas that a lot of athletic trainers or now athletic trainers are focusing and have been and should start focusing on. Because at the end of the day, as an athletic trainer, your job is to try to get the athlete healthy, or more importantly, keep the athlete healthy and keep the athlete on the field. Because at the end of the day, your job, like I said, is to keep the athlete on the field as healthy as possible so they can go and participate in the game. Because if they're not, then they're not contributing to the team, they're not contributing to the game. To be honest with you guys, at the professional level, the way they look at it is money loss. Okay, if a specific player is not on the court for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, generally they don't look at it as, hey, this player missed 2 or 3 weeks from playing. What they evaluate is, hey, how much money did we lose as a company or as a team or as a league when this athlete was not participating on the field? So your job is to keep them on the field as healthy as possible. So improving some of your skills as far as injury prevention, injury rehab, I guess what they refer to as prehabilitation, injury assessment, movement assessments. I think this is where kind of what I was referring to as far as kind of sports science also coming in effect. I know there's been a lot of sports science out there with as far as the camera system, movement analysis, stuff like that, but being able to kind of try to find as much objective information that you can kind of identify and be able to kind of assess athletes and try to evaluate their risk assessment or the percentage of risk assessment and find areas where they are lacking, weak, compensating, and be able to address them to kind of correct it. Take a prime example, ankle dorsiflexion. I did a talk just over the weekend, and ankle dorsiflexion was an area that a lot of individuals that were in the webinar or in the Zoom weren't aware of or didn't really kind of grasp it or even didn't do it. But working on mobilization of the ankle and increasing ankle dorsiflexion can help reduce some of the injuries that are related to the ankle, the knee, and also the hip. So focusing on things like that, whereas athletic trainers, you can kind of be able to assess, hopefully improve, and be able to do part of the injury prevention. I think it's a key element. It's one of the key components to athletic training. Number 11, if you could start all over again, would you change your career path? If yes, why? Would I change it? No, I don't think I would change it. I enjoyed what I did. I liked what I did. I think going into college and kind of coming out of college or graduating as an undergrad, that was something that I kind of wanted to do, and I think I either set my mind to do it as far as getting to the professional level. I enjoyed what I did. Um, like I said, working at the professional level, there's the ups and downs. There's a lot of rewards. There's a lot of sacrifices. Would I maybe change it completely? No. Would I maybe had a little bit of a different approach to it? Probably. I think not only probably, I want to say yes. And I think the approach is try to, athletic trainers oftentimes kind of lose themselves in their field because you're just so devoted to what you're doing. You're devoted to your athletes. You're devoted to making sure you kind of do your job, that you tend to either neglect or you sacrifice other different areas in your life. And I think that's one of the things that if I were to do it again, I think I would do it the same, but I would do it where I would try to create a balance in my work environment and also my home, I guess, my home environment. It's hard to do that. It's very difficult because your goal is to try to get the athlete healthy, and sometimes it's difficult to try to kind of balance those areas. And I think now when I speak to athletic trainers, you want to understand that there's that area that you want to keep that balance, that you want to make sure that your job doesn't identify you just because you work with this specific team or this college. It's not who you are, because at the end of the day, you have your family and you have your life. It's just a job. Yes, you do want to do it to the best of your ability, but always keep in mind, hey, it's just a job. Do you have any other advice for me? I guess the advice kind of goes along with the question I just answered prior to this, where it was number 11, is that as an athletic trainer, is yes, you want to try to get all your licenses, your certifications, you want to kind of better your career, you want to better yourself as an individual, be able to get to where you want to be, but also kind of just understand where you want to be. Like I said, there's different levels, there's different requirements to each level, there's different time of dedication of time to each level. There's different opportunities at each level, and it's something I think as an athletic trainer is trying to discover what level you want to be in, where you're going to be happy, and you're going to kind of have that balance. When I was an athletic trainer, student athletic trainer, what I did, that I think is one of the advantages that I had, is that we were able to do, like I said, 1,500 hours, and we could do them wherever we want. And what I did is basically I kind of sat down, took the 1,500 hours, and I broke them down into 250 hour increments. And I just said, hey, you know what? I'm going to spend 250 hours at a clinic. I'm going to spend 250 hours at a junior college. I'm going to spend 250 hours at this place. I'm going to spend $250 hours at a D1 school. I'm going to try to spend 250 hours at a pro team or a semi-pro team. I think I did my 250 hours at I get back then, I don't think they're around anymore, but they refer to as the Long Beach Ice Dogs. It was a semi-pro team that was affiliated to the Kings. That was the only way I was able to get into a pro team. But I was able to kind of experience all different areas and then finally kind of figure, okay, where do I want to land? Because like I said, working at high school level, you're in the evenings, you're working with the high school, you may have some summers off, you have some holidays off, stuff like that. Work at the pro level, like I mentioned, you kind of pretty much on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You are traveling, which is, like I mentioned, it's great. You get to kind of see the world, you get to see the United States, but you're also kind of takes away from your family, stuff like that. So I think one of the key things that the major advice is to try to decide or try to figure out, just like when you were going to an undergrad as a student, trying to decide your major, and sometimes you kind of test different majors here or there or different subjects, is also to do the same thing, test the field of athletic training. Because nowadays there's different areas, different fields in athletic training. It's not just your traditional working with sport teams. You can do industrial athletic training or working with companies, corporations, because they're trying to kind of reduce workers' comp cases too. Marines, the militaries, there's a big area in the military that you work with the military, trying to kind of reduce injuries during boot camps, and the military try to keep the soldiers fit and training. Also, entrepreneurship is one of the areas where, as an athletic trainer, you can kind of go either open up your own clinic, your own facility where you treat individuals, kind of your own business. So there's a whole area of athletic training nowadays. It's not just the traditional athletic training, like I said, where it was just in the training room, working on in the training room and on the practice field, so to speak. So that's me, and I think that's all the questions. I'll be happy to answer any more questions. You guys can either email me or through at Marco A. Nunez at msn.com if you guys have any further questions, or you can either reach me through Instagram at Marco A. Nunez 17. Maybe you guys have any other further questions. I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys might have. Thank you for having me.